Mayans MC on FX is down to its final 2 episodes, and the Reaper is killing off more fan favorites non-stop. Hope's continuously tragic arc abruptly came to an end in episode 8 when she threw herself in the path of oncoming traffic and was struck by a semi-truck. We could be upset that they are gone in front of Letty, but this is the world they chose to live in, and they made the most of it. Nobody in the game, not even the player at the top of the call sheet, should be considered safe at this time. The remains of Diaz and Jinx, the president and vice president of the Oakland chapter of the Mayans, are in the back of the van as Downer and Garrow start episode 8 as they are driving. Garrow killed Diaz in retaliation for killing his father Alvarez, who had been the leader of the Tuscan chapter at the time the Mayan Civil War originally broke out, by firing the gun. With the dead, Downer and Garrow are attempting to implicate a rival faction in the murders, which is the only option to escape the current predicament. After setting up the bodies outside of the Grim Bastards clubhouse, with both Mayans wearing Sons of Anarchy cuts, they quickly reach there. Downer then instructs Garrow to ring the doorbell to inform the Grim Bastards that a surprise is waiting outside. Easy is putting himself through a hard workout when Sophia enters the scene. He pays her scarcely any attention when she informs him that Creeper wouldn't want him to endure this. She has no idea that Easy is to blame for Creeper's death. The club president, Lucky, quickly places the 2 Mayans cuts from the members he found outside their doors on the ground as the Grim Bastards roar through the Mayans' front gate. The Grim Bastards saw this as a warning shot from the Sons of Anarchy after they interfered and attempted to play peacekeepers amid the ongoing conflict between the 2 clubs. Therefore, it appears that the Mayan strategy has been successful. Turning the Grim Bastards against the Sons of Anarchy appears to be exactly what Easy wanted, making the club even more vulnerable as the odds grow against them. Marcus Alvarez, on the other hand, is preparing breakfast for his family and seems to be making an effort to return to some semblance of normalcy, rather than staying in his own sadness following his expulsion from the Mayans. However, the respite is just temporary, as Alvarez soon receives a phone informing him that Diaz has passed away. Shortly after being expelled from the club he formed, Alvarez rips out of his own, gets on his motorbike for the first time, and sets out in search of solutions. He travels all the way to Charming where, seeking clarification, he hunts down Rain Quinn, a lifelong member of the Sons of Anarchy motorcycle club Redwood Original. In order to get Quinn to identify the person who killed Diaz, Alvarez threatens to shoot him with a gun. As he informs Alvarez that the ceasefire between SANCRO and the Northern Charters had already been broken after Happy was shot and killed by the Reyes brothers, Quinn keeps the gun pressed against his chin without moving. Despite the fact that Alvarez was unaware of what had taken place, he is still seeking information regarding the murderer of Diaz, and Quinn advises him to start looking locally. Alvarez puts down the gun and walks out of the clubhouse without speaking to anyone else before going back home. In the end, Alvarez removes the Mayan patches from his cut and sets everything on fire, perhaps cutting all links with the team he cherished. When Philip Reyes answers the door to a knock, he is surprised to see Miguel Galindo waiting for him. Then Miguel gives Philip a picture of himself with Jose Galindo, the man who raised Philip as his own, although secretly knowing that the boy wasn't his. Miguel continues to push Philip away and reminds him that they will never be a family, refusing to accept his father's hesitations. Soon after, Angel shows up at Philip's door with Maverick and Tao. Angel explains to his father that he can't bear to be alone in that house because Luisa, Adelita, never came home. Because this has always been their home, whether they have lived there or not, Philip extends an invitation to Angel and Maverick to stay with him. Ray informed Gilly that he should finally become a father to his son Jacob, but in order to do so, he would have to leave the Mayans. As a result, Gilly is having trouble with his own family. A drunk Paul arrives at the house to confront his wife and old buddy, while just blurting out that he has been Jacob's father for the past 12 years, while his true father has been missing before Gilly has a chance to make that choice. Gilly snaps when she sees Jacob's understandable confusion, knocking Paul to the ground and beating him mercilessly. The fact that Jacob has only ever known one father in his life, and that father is not Gilly, tells Gilly that he is not in the correct frame of mind to be a father to his kid. Then, after spending one final moment with the son he'll probably never see and the woman he loved, he returns to discover Ray and Jacob packing up their belongings. Even while it hurts, Gilly starts to see that they are both better off with him. The Mayans gather at the clubhouse for a solemn memorial for their slain brother Creeper, as the time has come to lay him to rest. While telling the Mayans how much they all meant to Creeper, his sister provides a moving eulogy for her brother in which she singles out Easy as the one he cared about most. Before confronting the Mayans and accepting responsibility for his actions, Easy makes his way out of the crowd and bids Creeper a final farewell. Easy admits, but he only accepts responsibility for failing to defend his brothers while they were imprisoned, rather than acknowledging that he had actually given the order to kill Creeper. He guarantees that it won't happen again. At that moment, Kate, formerly known as Cody, appears from behind the scene and reaches out to touch Creeper's face for the final time before facing Easy Reyes. Hank informs the other participants that she is Creeper's elderly lady as she walks away silently. After the memorial, the Mayans party away their sorrow, while Taza sneaks outside and meets Bishop again. Of course, before Bishop found out that Taza was gay, and that he killed Riz to try to hide his history, their friendship deteriorated and tensions with the Sons of Anarchy increased. However, rather than harboring resentment, Bishop declares that the past is in the past, and Taza acknowledges that it might be time for him to return home after all. Bishop tries to convince him that it would be foolish for him to rejoin the Santo Padre chapter at this time because it would be the worst possible time to do so, but Taza admits that he has never been very intelligent. Easy spends the remainder of the evening in bed with Sofia, despite her attempts to talk to him. Easy is keeping everything inside, and that will eventually bite him, particularly if he finds out soon that Sofia might be expecting his child. Letty arranges her escape after spending a couple of nights in the Broken Saints complex and learning that they are making drugs for the Mayans. Despite being almost found, she still manages to find a functional truck to flee before anybody catches her. Isaac is waiting for her when she gets to the Sons of Anarchy clubhouse in San Bernardino. Letty admits that the Broken Saints are producing drugs for the Mayans, but that she was unable to learn more without coming under suspicion. Letty still feels that she followed Isaac's instructions exactly, and she is now asking him to give Hope back to her. Naturally, Isaac declines and essentially scoffs in Letty's face for thinking she would win back Hope. He also chastises her for betraying the Broken Saints in order to save just one person. Isaac's desire for vengeance against the Mayans was sparked by the same kind of betrayal that Coco committed when he assaulted Meth Mountain to rescue Hope in the past. As the gate closes in her face and she is left on the outside, Letty cries out for Hope. Isaac appears to want Hope back under his control, and the only way he can make sure of that is if she becomes an addict once more. As for Hope, she is being detained without any food or water, but a plate full of drugs. Isaac issues a warning to Hope about what will happen if she persists in her refusal and constantly claims that Letty will come for her. Before instructing Terry, the vice president of San Bernardino, to watch over Hope while he completes a task with the other Sons of Anarchy, Isaac begins to spew his typical insanity. That evening, when gunshots can be heard echoing throughout the clubhouse, Terry offers Hope some soup and warns her not to pretend she has eaten. Later, Letty bursts open the door and stabs one of the Crow Eaters in the throat while demanding that Hope be released. Terry turns the gun on the Crow Eater and kills her rather than shooting Letty to death. Terry then orders Hope to flee with Letty while killing the remaining Crow Eaters to hide their tracks. Terry pulls the trigger on the gun as Letty and Hope flee in order to conceal his role for Isaac's eventual return. It's wonderful that Chucky received a reference in this final season, and Letty informs Hope in the car that they might leave California and possibly move to Ohio, where they might be reunited with him and find jobs distant from the turmoil they've already suffered. Hope sobs uncontrollably and orders Letty to stop the car on the side of the road. Hope warns Letty as she exits the vehicle that they can never escape Isaac, because he would pursue them relentlessly until he locates her. Hope is aware that by being at Letty's side, she'll simply continue to endanger her. She then expresses her gratitude to Letty for the past few months, calling them the finest of her life, but she is unable to stay and prevent Isaac from coming to get them. As Letty lets out a guttural scream in shock as she witnesses her buddy die a horrifying death, Hope suddenly steps into oncoming traffic and is struck by a tractor trailer. All along, it seemed that Easy would kill Isaac, or perhaps a Samcro member who had grown tired of his struggle with the Mayans, but it appears that Letty may want him dead even more than any of them. After partying at Creeper's memorial, Bottles and Garrow return to the Mayans clubhouse and board a van towards the Broken Saints property. While Bottles has evidence that the same girl just texted him begging him to hurry up, Garrow is convinced that one of the Broken Saints has a crush on him. Bottles makes the unfortunate mistake of cracking a few mum jokes along the way, which only serves to anger Garrow. Before reaching the compound of the Broken Saints, They eventually make a gas stop, but neither one wants to get out for fear that the other will take off and leave them behind. Bottles does take a few blows for his jokes, but in the end, neither man will pump the patrol, so they move on towards the abode of the Broken Saints. Although Gilly might be upset by the situation, Bottles quickly shifts his focus to a fire just over the horizon. As planned, the van runs out of gas just before they arrive at the property. The two sprint from the van and head for the Broken Saints complex, where they come across members yanking one another from the blazing structure that once housed the Mayans' drug operation. Bottles and Gilly hear a big explosion shake the facility as they witness the Mayans' entire future burn in flames. After making a deal with the soldiers of fortune that granted them authority over the jail drug trade at a 50-50 profit split, Isaac obtained what he wanted by dealing a blow to the Mayans that may make them targets for assassination. Due to the Sons of Anarchy's destruction of the drug production, there will be no more money coming in.